Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Katariina, and today we'll go through a really soft heart opening flow. So we'll focus on some back bending and opening the shoulders and upper back generally. We'll start in a child's pose, so you can bring your knees a little bit wider apart so that you have space to sit down, releasing your tummy or chest between the legs. And the hands, the arms can walk forward towards the top of the mat, so that you naturally bring length into the spine, the arms, all the way to the fingertips. Releasing through the hips as we come into this first pose of today's practice. And as we do that, we can start to draw some deeper inhales in through the nose and out through the nose. Allowing those breaths to connect you with your body, to connect you with the present moment, with where you are right now. Allow them to expand and then contract the upper body. Take one more deep inhale here, guiding the air to fill up the lungs, the rib cages, all the way to the stomach. And then you can open the mouth, sigh the air out. Good. With our next inhale, we're going to press our hands down and move our weight forward towards the top of the mat. Now releasing the hips down, we come into essentially an upward facing dog, but a very lazy one. So you don't need to really worry about alignment here or pushing down the tops of the feet. You can keep your knees and your thighs on the mat if that's what feels good. And we sway from side to side here a little bit. Just finding an opening in the back body, the shoulders. Keep pushing the hands down. And if you feel a pinch in the lower back, please just come a little bit lower. We're just feeling into the body. Well done. Take an inhale here. Maybe open up a little bit more if that feels good. And then release all the way down to the mat. Good. Now hands are under the shoulders. We'll come into a cobra from here. Inhale. And exhale. Good. We'll do that a few more times. You can grow your cobra in size if that feels good. And exhale. Final one. Pull your shoulders back as you lift up. And release down. Good. From here, we're going to push ourselves all the way up and come and sit on top of the shins at the back of the mat. Good. You can roll your shoulders back. We'll interlace our fingers behind the lower back. And then as you inhale, start to open up through the chest, pulling the shoulder heads back, pulling the fingers, the hands towards the toes. And breathe. Take one more inhale. And then with your exhale, see if you can fold over the legs, the knees. Maybe the hands rise up from the lower back. Good. And then come all the way back up. We'll release our hands and reach them all the way up. And then exhale, release them down through the sides, really opening through the back. Good. We'll do that once more. Inhale, reach up. And then exhale, release the arms down. Good. You can bring your knees slightly further apart again, and then release over the legs into a child's pose. Good. From here, we inhale, move forward once again, doing the same thing that we started in, so that kind of lazy upward facing dog. Find a bit of rocking here. Good. And then we release down onto the mat. Now bringing our hands a little bit wider apart, so fingertips grounding down, hands come off the mat. And we inhale into a cobra from here. And then exhale back down. Good. We'll do that a few more times. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Final one. Exhale. Well done. We'll then bring our hands towards the lower back. Interlace the fingers there again, just over the lower back. And then can you start to rise up through the chest from here? So pulling the hands back, lifting up through the chest, shoulders move back. Maybe the feet rise as well. Good. Opening through the chest, widening through the collarbones. Well done. Take an inhale and then release back down. Good. Once again, you can bring your hands under the shoulders. We'll push back onto hands and knees. Now tucking the toes under, we're going to lift the hips up into downward facing dog. Good. We'll find a bit of movement here. Moving your weight from one foot to the other, maybe bending one knee after the other too. Hips sway from side to side. And deep breaths as you create length in the spine. With our next inhale, we'll come onto the tiptoes. Then exhaling, bend the knees and either step walk or maybe a small hop. We'll find our way to the top of the mat in a forward fold. Good. We inhale, lengthen the spine. You can bring your hands onto the shins, gaze forward, and exhale, fold over. Good. Then we find our way all the way up to standing. So rolling the spine vertebra at a time. Hands reach up. Inhale. And then as we exhale, we soften the knees, release the arms through the sides, guide the hips back, and release into a forward fold. Good. Halfway lift, lengthen, and then exhale, fold over. Good. Coming all the way back up. So roll the spine up, reach the fingertips all the way up. And then exhale, soften the knees, guide the hips back, release the arms down through the sides. Beautiful. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold over. Good. We'll do that once more. So coming all the way up to standing. Reach the arms overhead. And then soften the knees, guide the hips back, arms release through the sides. Good. We lengthen one last time. Inhale. And then exhale, aiming the tummy close to the thighs as you fold over. Good. We'll bring our hands onto the mat and step our left foot back towards the back of the mat. Left knee grounds down, and we inhale, reaching up through the arms. The hips can sink down. Good. Aiming to square through the hips, lifting up through the upper body and the arms. And then with our next exhale, we open up into cactus arms. So the elbows move to 90-degree angles, and we slightly open up through the chest more. Good. Lifting up, imagining a string being pulled through the center of your chest up. And that way you find your little back bend. Good. We release the hands down. Left hand comes onto the mat next to the right one. And then we start to bend our left knee, perhaps grabbing the foot with your right hand. Good. Allow the right shoulder to roll open. Feeling the stretch in the front body, in the left hip flexor. Good. Inhale. And then release the hand. Both hands come back onto the top of the mat. And from here, we hug the right knee in towards the chest and kick it all the way back. So basically, we come into a three-legged tabletop. Bend through your right knee and see if you can grab the right foot with the left hand. And if you can find your way there, you can start to kick the right foot into the hand, finding a deeper back bend, a deeper opening for the chest and the left shoulder. Good. And then we release down. Both hands, both knees down. Good. We'll tuck the toes under and lift all the way up into a downward facing dog. Beautiful. From here, coming onto the tiptoes, exhale, bend the knees, and then find your way to the top of the mat. Good. We inhale, lengthen just one time this time, and then exhale, fold over. Good. Then stepping our right foot back, keep your fingertips on the mat, right knee comes onto the mat. And then we rise up, reach up through the arms, square through the hips, maybe slightly opening through the chest at this point as well. And just settling into this pose. We inhale, finding length. And then with our exhale, opening the arms out to that cactus shape. Good. So the chest opens, the shoulders roll back. Maybe the chin and the gaze lift up too. Inhale. And then we release our right hand onto the mat and start to bend through the right knee, perhaps grabbing the foot with the left hand. Good. Roll the left shoulder back. Open more through the chest. And breathing into the tight places in the body. We take just one more inhale here. And then exhale, release. Both hands come to the top of the mat. We'll hug the left knee into the chest and then kick it back towards the back of the mat. The left knee bends, the right arm reaches to grab it or to grab the foot, and then we kick back. Pressing the left hand down for support and see what feels like a good amount of opening for the left hip flexor, the right shoulder. And then we release both hands, both knees back down. Good. Tucking our toes under, we find a downward facing dog. Taking a breath here in and out. From here, we reach our right leg up behind us. And then exhale, hug the right knee in towards the chest, rather actually in towards the right tricep, and come into a pigeon. So we drop the right knee down onto the mat, left leg slides back. Okay. First we find length here. Roll the shoulders back as you straighten through the spine. And then exhale. For a few breaths, we find our way into a pigeon pose. Perhaps coming onto the forearms. You can come all the way onto your belly as well, if it's there for you. Good. Just feeling, relaxing into the hips. Good. You can either stay here, or you can start to come back onto your hands. As we start to bend through the left knee, maybe grabbing a hold of it. So you can stay here if you like. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can also flip the grip and start to work towards a king pigeon. So see which variation is there for you. Staying in whichever shape you are for one more breath. Also staying down here is super okay. Good. If you've got the foot, you can release it. If you haven't, you can find your way back up so that your hands are on the mat. And then we're going to tuck the left toes under and step into a downward facing dog. Good. We'll do that on the other side, but first you can find a bit of movement here if that feels good. For the hips, for the spine, for the legs. Beautiful. And then guiding our left leg up behind us. And then exhale, move the knee towards the wrist and slide the right leg back. Good. first we find length here. And then as you exhale, you might want to fold over. Good. And taking a few breaths, finding that softness. Now on the left side of the hips, the left glute. Good. And then pushing yourself back up if you want to start to bend through the right knee. So you can either grab the foot just with your right hand, maybe stay here for a moment. If you want to go all the way, have a go at the king pigeon. You can start to flip your grip, finding your way there. Finding your way there. Good, so all these different options are available. Staying here, super okay. Good. Take one final breath, releasing the foot if you've got it. We find our way back onto the hands. Lengthen through the spine. And then you can tuck your right toes under and step into downward facing dog. Good. Big inhale in and out. Good. Release your knees onto the mat. You can come over the ankles and the knees and find a seat. Maybe reaching your arms forward and then roll the spine all the way down. Good. We'll keep our knees bent, feet on the mat as we come into a bridge pose. So just keep the heels quite close to you so that you can just touch them with your fingertips if you reach towards them. You can keep your arms by your sides. And then we're going to push the feet down and lift the hips up, coming into our bridge. If you want to, you can walk your shoulders under the upper body and maybe interlace the fingers behind the lower back. Good. Push the heels down to find that height for the hips. Good. Take an inhale and then release back down as you exhale. Good. You can windshield wipe your knees from side to side a few times. See how that feels for the spine, especially for the lower back and then the hips as well. We'll do that again, or if you want to, this time you can also go for a full wheel. So whichever you go for, we start in the same position, so with our feet planted on the mat, knees bent. You can start to lift your hips up and then bringing your hands to the sides of the ears. If you want to go for a full wheel, you can push up from here. Good. If you're there, try to push your chest forward towards the back of the mat so that you get a nice opening for the shoulders and the upper back. And try to take a few deep breaths here. We can then release down the same way we came. Knees can remain bent, and we might want to windshield wipe them from side to side a few times again. Good. See what feels good for you at this point. You're going to hug your knees in towards the chest for a moment. Maybe you want to extend them out. Beautiful. We'll then release our feet back onto the mat. Now opening the knees out, soles of the feet together, coming into a Supta Baddha Konasana for our final resting pose. If you prefer to go into a Shavasana and straighten your legs out, you may also do that. You can bring one hand onto the belly, one hand to the heart as you start to settle down here. Just bringing your awareness back to the body and back to the breath. What sensations are moving through you? As we come into stillness, it's often so much easier to notice those things. Maybe the heartbeat is a little bit faster. Maybe you feel your blood pumping. Maybe you feel some tingling in places after that movement and those big heart openers. Can you also come back to your breath? How is the breath right now? Is it deep? Is it slow? Is it long? Or do you feel like there's still some shallowness? Maybe it's racing. All of those options are fine. We're just here to observe. We'll take one final inhale. Filling the lungs all the way to the rim. And when you feel like you can't fill them up more, try to sip in just a little bit more air. And then open the mouth. Sigh the air out. With the help of your hands, you can bring your knees back in. Perhaps hug them in towards the chest for a moment. Good. And then from here, we can turn onto one side and then come all the way back up to a seat. Perhaps still keeping your eyes closed for a moment. You can bring your hands onto the lap, onto your knees, and find a long spine. Rolling the shoulders back. Taking a breath to arrive in this shape, in this final shape of the practice. And then when you're ready, you can bring your hands to heart center. And finally bow your head towards your hands. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me for this heart-opening practice. I hope it served you well. If you enjoy practicing with me, please subscribe to my channel. The subscribes and the messages and the likes, all of them go a really long way, so I really appreciate all of that. I'm here every Thursday. That's when I post a new flow, so every week you can find me and a new yoga practice here on YouTube. So I hope I see you next week too. Thank you.